The bread aisle used to be simple. You'd grab a loaf, take it home, and make a sandwich. But walk into any UK supermarket today and you'll find something far more troubling than just rising prices. Because what's labelled as bread often barely qualifies as food anymore. We're talking about products so heavily processed, so loaded with additives and cheap oils, that calling them bread feels generous. Loaves that stay soft for weeks without mould, slices engineered to never go stale. Ingredients lists reading like chemistry experiments rather than recipes your grandmother would recognise. Here's what nobody tells you. That softness you've been trained to expect, it's not natural. Real bread goes firm after a day or two because it's made from actual ingredients that behave like food. The spongy texture lasting a fortnight comes from emulsifiers, preservatives, and seed oils designed to fight nature itself. And the worst part? You're paying premium prices for this engineered nonsense whilst being told it's wholesome, nutritious, family-friendly fare. The packaging shows golden wheat fields and smiling bakers. The reality involves industrial facilities, chemical additives, and profit margins built on deception. Let's start with the elephant in the aisle. Kingsmill 50/50. This loaf markets itself as the responsible middle ground. Half white, half wholemeal. The best of both worlds, they say. Except it's actually the worst of both. The formula is built on refined flour and seed oils your body was never designed to process. They've wrapped cheap ingredients in patriotic branding and health claims, banking on the fact that busy parents won't read past the front label. That 50/50 badge looks trustworthy. The ingredient list tells a different story entirely. What makes this particularly cynical is that Kingsmill used to make proper bread. Go back a few decades and their loaves contain maybe 5 ingredients: flour, water, yeast, salt, perhaps a touch of fat. Nothing your great-grandparents wouldn't recognise. Compare that to today's version. You'll find dough conditioners, palm oil, multiple seed oils, synthetic vitamins, and preservatives. Every single addition serves one purpose: not your health, shelf life, texture, production speed, and cost reduction. They've convinced millions of British families this is normal. That bread should feel like this, taste like this, last like this. Meanwhile, traditional bakeries producing actual bread struggle to compete because their loaves go stale like food is supposed to. Next up, Tesco White Sliced. The budget loaf that millions grab without thinking twice. It's cheap, familiar, always in stock. Which is precisely why it's dangerous. This isn't food made for nourishment. It's food made for mass production and maximum profit at minimum cost. High salt content, barely any fibre, sugar, refined flour that spikes blood glucose like a dessert. Then come the emulsifiers, preservatives, and texture modifiers no traditional baker would touch. The nutritional panel alone should raise alarms. But most shoppers never flip the package over. They see white bread, recognise the brand, and assume it's fine because it's ordinary. That ordinariness is the entire trick. Emulsifier E471 keeps the crumb soft. Seed oils extend shelf life whilst creating that artificially smooth texture people have been conditioned to expect. And that conditioning matters more than you'd think. Over time, we've been trained to believe bread should feel light, fluffy, springy, and identical slice after slice. But that's not how bread behaves. Real bread has texture, real bread breaks differently, real bread changes. The only reason Tesco's version doesn't is because it's held together with additives that didn't exist in bakeries of old Britain. It survives warehouses, lorries, shelves, and cupboards without changing because it's been engineered to resist what food naturally does. Now, here's where it gets truly deceptive. Asda Bakery Soft White. That word bakery printed right on the packaging. It conjures images of fresh loaves, skilled bakers, maybe even an oven somewhere nearby. Except there's nothing bakery about it. This is mass-produced in industrial plants, pre-mixed, pre-processed, trucked in, and sold under a label designed to manipulate your assumptions. Asda knows exactly what they're doing. The word bakery is powerful. It makes you picture something honest and local. Look at the ingredients. Refined flour stripped of nutrition, seed oils your body struggles to metabolize, preservatives ensuring it stays fresh far longer than any real bread would, emulsifiers forcing softness, flour treatment agents cheating texture, sugars compensating for lack of actual flavor. This wasn't made for nourishment, it was engineered for endurance, designed to survive the supply chain whilst tasting just acceptable enough that people keep buying it. And they price it low enough that shoppers won't question what they're actually getting. But the hidden cost isn't on the price tag. It's buried in rising heart disease rates, weight gain nobody can explain, and metabolic dysfunction that doctors blame on everything except what's sitting in your shopping trolley every single week. Moving on to Hovis Soft White Thick, a brand soaked in heritage and nostalgia. Adverts featuring British countryside, family values, tradition. They've spent decades building an image of authenticity, yet the loaf itself has quietly abandoned every principle that image represents. Hovis once meant something. Their early bread was simple, recognizable, honest. Today's formula reads like a chemistry experiment. Preservatives, emulsifiers, refined flour, palm oil, seed oils, an industrial creation wearing the costume of a British classic. And this raises the uncomfortable question nobody asks. Why does bread need seed oils at all? For thousands of years, 4 ingredients were enough: flour, water, yeast, salt. That fed entire civilizations. Yet modern supermarket bread is drenched in cheap industrial oils our bodies were never designed to handle daily. We're already drowning in seed oils, sweet snacks, takeaways, processed meals. Now even bread, the one thing that should have stayed simple, has become another delivery system for oils linked to inflammation and metabolic disruption. Hovis built its reputation on heritage, then quietly swapped that heritage for profit margins and shelf stability. Their bread used to be alive. It went stale because it was real food. Now it stays soft for days, sometimes a week, held together by additives designed to defy what nature intended. Then comes the scandal that proves this industry isn't just unhealthy, it's outright dangerous. Aldi Village Bakery tortilla wraps. March in 2024. A nationwide recall after metal fragments were discovered inside the product. Not one batch. Every pack with best before dates up to April 29th. The Food Standards Agency issued a do not eat warning. Police investigated suspected tampering. Think about families buying these for school lunches, parents choosing wraps instead of bread thinking they're making a healthier choice. Meanwhile, sharp metal pieces may have been sitting inside the very food they rolled up for their children. And here's the bigger deception. Many assume wraps are lighter, healthier alternatives to bread. They're not. Most contain more calories and carbohydrates than 2 slices of bread. Flip them over and you'll find refined starches, industrial fats, emulsifiers, all designed to create thin, flexible dough that behaves nothing like real food in your digestive system. Low fiber, high refined starch, seed oils and emulsifiers create a sticky mass that can potentially cause digestive blockages when it clumps together undigested. That's what people experience as bloating, discomfort, sluggish digestion, blood sugar crashes. Yet they're sold as the smart, modern option. Before we finish, there's one more that deserves attention. Stamford Street medium white bread. Look at the ingredients. Soya flour, calcium propionate, emulsifiers, mono and diacetyl tartaric acid esters, rapeseed oil, flour treatment agents, palm oil. Would any reasonable person recognize these as food? This is what they're trying to normalize, and the reviews tell you everything. 1-star ratings. Complaints about bland, plasticky taste even when fresh. Some report garden birds refusing to eat it. When pigeons reject your bread, that should tell you something profound. They've got higher standards than the corporations manufacturing this. It's cheap, yes, but the trade-off is your health, your gut, your digestion, and what counts as acceptable food in your home. As corporations become more profit-driven and disconnected from real food, this situation will only worsen. Ingredient lists grow longer, more shortcuts get taken, products become increasingly artificial, not because it improves nutrition, but because it boosts margins and speeds production. We're the ones paying the price. So what do? You don't need to overhaul everything overnight. Even small steps matter. Try baking one loaf at home each week. It's simple, cheap, grounding. A skill worth passing down. Imagine your children knowing how to make bread instead of relying on whatever formulas supermarkets push next. And even if you can't bake, there are better choices. Look for fewer ingredients. Swap ultra-processed squares for real porridge. Traditional Scottish oats cooked in 5 minutes. Infinitely better than bread held together with conditioners and industrial oils. You don't need perfection, just better choices more often than not. Because the British public deserves real food and honesty. What we have now is Frankenstein food, engineered, manipulated, stretched, preserved and oiled. Something so removed from real nourishment that calling it bread feels like a technicality. That's why we're pulling back the curtain. To remind you that choice still exists. The moment we stop accepting these imitations and return to real ingredients, the industry is forced to change. It's long past time we stop pretending these products deserve shelf space next to actual food. The bread your grandparents bought wasn't perfect, but at least it was honest. 4 ingredients. Real texture. It went stale because that's what happens when you don't pump food full of chemicals designed to cheat biology. What sits in supermarkets today wearing the bread label is industrial engineering masquerading as nourishment. And the saddest part? Most people have never tasted the difference because this is all they've known. They think spongy, eternally soft, identical slices are normal. They're not. They're profitable. Every time you choose real bread over these counterfeits, you're casting a vote. Corporations track every purchase. They know exactly which products get abandoned and why. Your trolley has more power than you realize. Use it. Because the only language these companies speak fluently is profit. When enough people walk past their engineered nonsense and reach for something real, they notice. Sales shift. Trends change. Suddenly they're forced to respond. Until that happens, stay sharp. Read labels. Question softness that defies nature. And remember that the most trusted brands can be the biggest deceivers. Your great-grandmother knew what bread was supposed to be. Maybe it's time we remembered too.